Yes, greetings, love and light to all the conscious ones and ones out there. My name is Hassan Robinson, and it is an absolute pleasure to introduce you to another episode of Streams of Consciousness. Of course, in this episode here is more like a recap episode where we will be going back on some of the things that we covered in previous episodes and some key takeaways that I feel is important, for us to, well, at least for me personally, to focus on and, to help find some deeper insight. The first conversation we had was with our brothers in the Assemblies of Yeshua, or the Assemblies of Yahweh, both of which, give praise and credence to the Creator, the Mighty Father Yahweh, and His Son Yeshua, And I'd like to thank the brothers for their prayers and also just for the positive energy that they continue to bring forth in my direction as well. In our conversation, we spoke about the 12-month and the 13th month calendar and seeing that truth and the knowledge lies equally on both sides. I felt it natural for me to look at it in a balanced point of view, to bring forth information on the 12-month calendar as well as information on the 13th month calendar, so that one's own understanding can help, narrate the picture in which one sees for oneself. However, all things happen in present time and a moment of time which is created by the Father of time himself, who is Yahweh. So it's just some information that I found on that. So let's see what we get.
Mascara. So in Ethiopia, we have our own calendar. So September is the beginning of the year and it's the first month of the Ethiopian year. So this is Mascara. And there are also names, like people names like Salam, Abebe, Mascara. So it's one of that. ጥቅምት ህዳር ታህሳስ ጥር You can say t when you put it's like t when you put stress on it, like this is Ethiopian alphabet and it's like t. So t. Yekatit Megabit Miazia Ginbot Sane Hamle and the last one is Nahase. And in Ethiopia we have 13 months. So after August we have Agme. It is the 13th month. So in Ethiopia we have like 13 months and the last one is Agme. So after August we have 5 days and in leap year it's 6 days and mostly 5.
In my community, let's face it, we're 5 minutes away from the Shubenacadie Residential School, 5 minutes away. Our children have been going to school off the reserve. And so it's predominantly English here. But other reserves, such as the ones that are like in Cape Breton, northern New Brunswick, they'll use these words. But we do try to teach our kids at the school, from primary to grade 12, how to say these words and stuff like that, just to hang on to them. It's a struggle, but at least somebody's trying.
You're likely quite familiar with the common 12-month Gregorian calendar. For centuries, it has been the internationally accepted civil calendar. However, long before European contact, the calendar of the Mi'kmaq people of Nova Scotia looked very different. Its 13 months notes the cycles of the moon and the natural phenomena that the Mi'kmaq peoples observed and used to survive here for thousands of years.
January in Mi'kmaq is pronounced Bunamuigus, and it comes from the word Bunamu, which is a tomcod. So it's called our frosh fish. So Bunamuigus, tomcod moon, that's when they would run. February is Abuganajit, and that means the snow blinded moon. And apparently it was, the sun was bright and the snow was pretty thick, and our people would just call it the snow blinding moon. March, Siuk Gewigos, it's like the forerunner of spring. Siuk is spring in the season, spring, so Siuk Gewigos, the spring moon. April is Benedemuigos, kind of a hard word, Benedemuigos, and all that means is the egg-laying moon. The birds lay eggs, Benedemuigos. May, Skolchuigos, which means the frog croaking moon. It's onomatopoeic. It's one of those words that, Nibinigos. It's the leaf budding moon. See, it's all outside, whatever you see. Nibi is a leaf, so Nibinigos, the leaf budding moon. July is Beskewigos. That's the birds shed their feathers. Moon. Beskewigos. Kizigwegewigos is August. Berry ripening time. Time to go pick the berries and apples and stuff like that. Wigumkewigos is September, and that's the mate calling moon. That's when the animals, look for their mates. Wigumkewigos. Wigewigos, the animal fattening moon, when the animals beef up for the winter. November is Geptegewigos, and that's when the rivers and brooks start freezing over moon. When it just gets a thin coat of ice on it, that's Geptegewigos. Gesikewigos is December. Gesik is Mi'kmaq for the winter moon. Gesik kind of means a hard time, so winter's very hard, especially here in Eastern Canada. The word for the 13th moon, and it's Ahadigos. Ahadi is something like halfway, so I think it's the halfway moon. 28 days. Our people noticed it. Obvious full moon. 28 times 13 is 364.
This 1775 Bible shows that March is actually the first month of the year, and Sunday, yes, you heard right, is the first day of the week. Take a look.
And so this right here is the Bible from 1775 telling us at the time that we used to have 13 months. The first month of the year is March! Look at all the way to the end, guys. There's 13 months. 13 months! First day of the week, Sunday. Second day, Monday. Look at that. Seventh day or Sabbath, Saturday. This is the proof right here.
I've always been a curious soul, but not in the way you'd expect from scholars or historians. My explorations take place from the comfort of my own home, often late into the night, guided by the soft glow of my laptop screen. This is how I ended up watching a video by Mark Pyers on his channel, Mark Inspires. What I discovered there sent me straight down a rabbit hole. Mark presented an old Bible from 1775, and it wasn't the antiquity of the book that caught my attention, it was the content. According to this Bible, the first month of the year is March, and each week begins on a Sunday. I paused the video. Sunday as the first day? March as the first month? That's not what any calendar I've ever hung on my wall has shown. The curiosity in me sparked. I wondered, if what I was looking at was true, why did everything change? Who decided to flip the script and shift the months around? And why does it feel like we might be out of step with the rhythm that was once so ingrained in our culture that it was worth printing in the good book itself? It was like finding a piece in a puzzle that I didn't know was missing. The more I thought about it, the more questions arose. What if the holidays we celebrate, the ones we've been told were based on ancient traditions, were actually aligned with a different rhythm, one dictated by this forgotten calendar? Take Christmas, for instance, often said to be a rebranding of pagan festivities. If we were following this old system, where would that leave December 25th? Would it hold the same meaning if it didn't coincide with the winter solstice as neatly as it does now? Could this alternative arrangement of time affect not just holidays, but our everyday lives? I'm not an academic with a wall of degrees, but that night, I felt a responsibility to learn more. There was a sense that by understanding the past, by peeling back the layers of changes and adaptations, I might find something essential. Something about how we connect with the universe, with each other, and how we find our place within the cycles that govern our existence. And so, I began a journey, one not through dusty library shelves or ancient ruins, but through the digital realm of information, armed with a newfound determination. I was ready to see where this old Bible's tale would lead me and what it might reveal about the world we think we know so well. Historical records are riddled with gaps and inconsistencies, some possibly by accident, others likely by design. The transition from a 13-month to a 12-month year is muddy at best. There's a school of thought that suggests the church and ruling authorities intentionally steered away from lunar calendars to diminish the influence of pagan traditions, which were closely tied to the phases of the moon. The removal of the 13th month could also be tied to numerology. 13 has been viewed with superstition in various cultures. Its exclusion might have been a deliberate effort to avoid association with a number so often linked with bad luck, or with women's menstrual cycles, which were often viewed with fear or disdain. If indeed there was a 13-month calendar that reflected a more accurate cosmic rhythm, what were the implications of its abandonment? Our modern calendar is misaligned with the lunar cycle by nearly a day each month. Over time, this dissonance could lead to a societal disconnection from natural patterns, affecting agriculture, mental health, and spirituality. Religious festivals, many of which were once synchronized with celestial events, now float through the year, untethered from the rhythms they once celebrated. Christmas, Easter, and other holidays have been assigned fixed or fluctuating dates that may no longer correspond with the times of year they were originally meant to honor. The ripple effects of a calendar out of sync with the cosmos may be more profound than we realize. Agricultural practices that were once timed to the reliable rhythms of the moon now rely on the imperfect Gregorian calendar. This subtle shift may have gradually distorted our connection to the environment, leading to practices that are less sustainable and harmonious with the Earth's cycles. In spiritual terms, the impact is even more esoteric. If sacred days are misdated, the collective energy focused on these times might be akin to misdialed calls in the cosmic sense. Are prayers and celebrations reaching their intended spiritual heights, or are they somewhat off the mark? This isn't to question the faith or devotion of practitioners, but rather to ponder the power of collective consciousness and its relationship to the timing of sacred observances.
You know, so explain to me, some people, and you're not the only one, some people really say there's 12, and then others say there's 13. So you saying it's 12, so let's say your reasoning behind it.
I have to say again, to bring us deeper into the light, it's how many tribes of Israel you know?
It says 12.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, Zebulun, Issachar, Dan, Gad, Asher. You have Naphtali, Yasif, which is Joseph, and Benjamin. Well, there's no way
on top of his head, it was Praise brother.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. There is no way in the scripture you will get a 14 month. No. On a test with some brethren is that we're talking about 12 months. They're talking about 14. Because that's why certain time when we keep the tabernacle, like we kept the tabernacle and the brethren and them going to keep it on the 8th of this month. Now, when you go according to the season, because it's the Father's season we have to use, not we put in our season, it's His season. Now, when you check the Father's season, the moon carrying 40 days, 15 in going up, 15 in going down. When you check 12 times 40, it's 360. Babylon have 365, the leap year give them 366. And every 6 years, they have a 14 month. It must have a 6 year because of the extra days, because they have, how many months they have? 7 days and 41 days.
They have a 30 days are September, April, June, and November. All the rest are 31 except January, February.
Yeah.
So right. I know it.
Yes. So we raise.
Yeah.
So we raise. But now, when you have to take it, is Abib, Zev, Sivan, Temuel, Ab, W, F, N, N, Bull, Tistru, Tibet, Sibat, Ada. That's biblical. 12 of them. It haven't got a 14. Now, 360 days is the Father calendar. That's what carrying. Are you?
Yes, I. So indeed, some powerful information here by our elders in the faith of Yahweh. Who got all of those information through experience and through righteous seeking and genuine seeking. And for sure, it always leaves you to appreciate and admire all things which was created by the Creator himself. In our second episode, we spoke with our Rastafari brother and elder Peter Rasman Allen about a number of things that was very important, for one's, just inner insight, as it relates to how one navigates through life as a conscious society. But in the discussion, we spoke about things that we could probably have done more had we known about some of the great works that our elders, our ancestors, did. And in his particular case, his grandfather, as it relates to the Black Power movement and the Black Power struggle. And we were speaking about a book called Black Man Listen, The Life of J.R. Ralph Kazemi by Kathy Kazemi McLean, which is his granddaughter. And in there, you can see a number of historical facts that that just showed to the great works that we as Dominicans have in our history from our very own.
I was traveling and I went to the airport, and whilst waiting for the plane, I went and sit down at Melville Hall by a bookshelf, like where there are books for sale. And when I sat down next to the first book I pulled was a book by a grand niece or something of Ralph Kazemi.
Yeah.
About the UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association, because Ralph Kazemi was a founding member. Right. And I started page through the book, and I reached page 32 before I had to close the book. Well, I bought the book one time because page 32 at the bottom had the opening, the introduction of UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association, to Dominica was done, I think it was in St. Gerard's Hall. And they were introducing the movement to Dominica as a chapter of UNIA.
Wow.
And Conrad Arlene gave the vote of thanks. That was in 1922. I say, what Conrad Arlene? But Conrad Arlene is my grandfather.
Yeah.
He's in the Anglican Cemetery together with his wife,
Wow.
Lillian Arlene. He was from Barbados originally, and he seemed to have been a clerk of a lawyer here. Not Bosolina, Piper, one of them there. One of them lawyers.
Okay.
So I say, what? But if my grandfather gave the vote of thanks, he had to be very much involved in the movement. So
There you are
for the
following his
past
footsteps there.
20 years, I believe in, well, I'm the black sheep of the family, but I'm really the black sheep. I follow my grandfather.
Wow.
And if I had known that, that is why I'm very conscious, I've been so for a long time, of the breakup of our family history.
Okay.
We don't know about our father, our grandfather, they just don't tell us what they went through in life. And for us to get an appreciation for what life is about, and for us to talk to them and tell them what our visions are so that they can give us some guidance. If I had known about my grandfather so long ago, UNIA, I would have been aware of Marcus Garvey, and I would have been, maybe I would have been more, I would be able to contribute more then.
Yeah.
But things happen. But for sure, I wouldn't let my children and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, not hear what my story is. It's up to them. They can live their life however they want.
So credit to Rastafari elders, memory. He said highlighted on page 32, but indeed it was page 28 where the real works began. But then indeed in page 32 you can find some of the names which included his grandfather, Mr. Allen himself. But page 30 says, in the Dominica report of the 5th of July 1920, Ralph Kazemi reported to the UNIA annual conference held at his headquarters in Harlem in New York that in 1919 he and his two friends Morancy and Gadier had been influenced by an article in the Negro World and fired up the enthusiasm, and it relates to the resolve from an organization to fight that they saw the discrimination against ordinary people in the society. Thus the DBU, an organization which became amalgamated with Garvey's UNIA, was born. Once recognized by the parent body of the UNIA, the DBU became the official UNIA division, number 85 in Dominica. In its armory, there were weapons of disciplined organizations of political activity, the spoken and written word, and three men were soon joined by Herbert Sevre, a pharmacist who later immigrated to the US to complete his studies, and Henry Elwin, a post office clerk. Together, they created and signed the following pledge, dated at Roseau, Dominica, BWI, on the 9th day of January 1920, the Negro to help the Negro. We're hereby sincerely and truly pledge to give our support, and we are quite ready at any moment to shed our blood and to give our very lives to this cause, and shall do so with all that lies in our power to help one and all members of the race who is for this good and just cause. We vow that we are sincerely and truly new Negroes, so help us God. Francis Louis Gadier, President; Herbert David Sevre, Vice President; J.R. Ralph Kazemi, Secretary and Treasurer; Kazemi Morancy, Assistant Treasurer, Assistant Secretary; and Henry J. Elwin, Board Member. That same day, the founding meeting of the Dominica UNIA Charter 85 was held in the upper floor of a building in Roseau owned by Victor L. Ducre, a shopkeeper and a liquor seller. It was attended by 12 members. The second meeting, held 2 weeks later on January 23rd in St. Gerald's Hall, Roseau, received extensive coverage in the Dominica Guardian, regarded as a colored newspaper. It reported that there were 150 people in the packed hall, with others crowding outside, as well as Kazemi. Speakers at the meeting included Gadier and Dr. Sisi Liguri, UNIA sympathizer and a visitor to the island on his way to Halifax, Canada, described in the newspapers a distinguished Negro visitor. Joseph Stieber, the long-standing editor of the Dominica Guardian, chaired the meeting. Kazemi read out a formal message which would be sent to Marcus Garvey. Conrad Allen, one of the supporters, gave a vote of thanks at the meeting, ended with lustily cheers from the audience. In 1893, in the wake of the La Plaine riots, in which 4 Dominicans had been killed in a previous protest over taxation in 1925. So yeah, indeed. So this is the meeting that they were talking about, the importance and the significance of the meeting that they had, the impacts that it had on the culture at the time, and the person giving the vote of thanks to say we appreciate this, you know what I mean, and you know we support this, was Conrad Allen, grandfather of our guest at the time, which was Peter Allen, and a Rastafari elder, speaking on the importance of knowing one's history, knowing oneself, and you know, just you know, the important impacts you can make as a conscious individual.
Just as the sun was lowering in the west, preparing for its dramatic drop into the sea, Grandpa made the journey up the hill. As always, his approach was heralded by his whistling. He was carrying a large brown paper parcel. We sat around while he was being refreshed, and he talked to us about our luck at moving to a country with great traditions. He spoke in admiring terms about Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. He was the emperor, king of kings, the lion of Judah. His people had never been enslaved, and they had defeated Mussolini and his Italian occupation. How lucky we would be to live in Africa, the birthplace of all our ancestors. I got the feeling that Grandpa wished that he would accompany us on what he obviously viewed as a wonderful adventure. It was an important conversation, as before this I just knew that we were going to some place in Africa. Many of my contemporaries seemed to find this news a bit shocking, as we were all very ignorant of life on that continent.
Changes which are to come can only come as a result of a program worked out by black people. And for black people to be able to work out a program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which was working against them, and this was a psychological feeling of inferiority. So then in '68 we started forming what is now called SASO, the South African Students Organization, which was firmly based on black consciousness, the essence of which was for the black man to elevate his own position by positively looking at those value systems that make him distinctively a man in society.
And the third episode we had speaking with our brother, Top, speaking about, the universal body which governs all, and how we can, play our parts in this universal consciousness even better, and do more good in the contribution if we know who we are in the body, the universal body of life, as well as who we are in our bodies, meaning who we are as an individual who is part of a collective. What can we do to help? The altruistic nature, which is us, the connecting force and the balance that we need to find and attain, once we know what role we are to play. Or if we do not know what role we are to play, but based on examples and experiences of others, what choices we make that may lead us to a more, altruistic and positive ending or, memory, as opposed to the opposite, which is also true of the universal body, which is the other side, which is those of us who do good amongst people who do bad. And the necessities of some bad actions also warrant the realities of the good, meaning that the definition of both has to exist. And if the definition of good and bad exists, then the definition has to in itself reflect something, and the reflection of good and bad has to be reflected in our realities. Therefore, there are good examples out there, there are bad examples out there. The choice is our own as well.
Life depends on choices we make. So a lot of things can be said and be taught. It's just like we have the internet and all of that. People choosing what they want to follow, what they want to watch, and what they want to check out. But collectively, the Almighty still working. Because even if you do see it the right way, the Almighty will find those that will see it. If you see the negative way, then that is also existing. So he who doeth the right always have to know that you are also in the presence of those who do the wrong.
People are busy, particularly in this part of the world, I see, always categorizing people, that is, good people, bad people, good guy, bad guy. Who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, it's all fixed up. You must experiment with this. You go to anybody, whoever you think is the most horrible human being on the planet, somehow, whatever makes him happy, make him happy. And then you see at that moment when he's happy, he's a fantastic guy. If you meet him when he's unhappy, if you meet him when he's frustrated, if you meet him when he's in some way unfulfilled, he's a horrible guy. But when he's happy, if you meet him, he's a fantastic guy.
And the mystic thing is whether we want to give the Almighty our lives or not, the Almighty still has the power to intervene, because we have already seen and witnessed where evil ones did good deeds, certain time throughout their lives. So, and even the righteous one will say that it is not of them. The righteous one recognizes it is of the Almighty. So
for me, spirituality, it could be the highest form of consciousness. where a person is aware of themselves from inside. Who am I? How am I related to those on my left and those on my right? How do I respond to the air that I breathe? Do I pollute it? Do I cleanse it? How do I live with the water that I drink? Do I pollute it? Do I cleanse it? How do I walk up to the soil that gives me food? Do I pollute it or do I cleanse it? Therefore, the human being aware that these three elements, which is the real trinity of African spirituality, which is our air, our water, and our land, which is the substance of which the African is aware he is made out of. These three elements are revered when you access them, when you are approaching waters. You're not just approaching a river or a lake or a dam or a fountain or a falls.
And those knowledge there doesn't be, people doesn't be able to perfect it in a hurry. It takes years and tribulations and things a person have to go through to come and gather all of these things and put bits and bits together. And so it's like if you do hurry and say it and share it and something happens to you, it might take a very long time for the Almighty to find probably another person that will be able to, because to know of the Almighty, your mind have to be the type of mind that can reason with the Almighty, you know, like keep conversations with the Almighty and stuff like that, you know. Because the Almighty, you know what I'm saying?
The hairstyle is not punk rock, it's not Mohegan Indians, because a lot of people relate it to the Mohegan Indians because that's all they know. There's a tribe in Africa that calls themselves the Mandinka warriors. They wear their hair in this fashion. They wear feathered earrings, they wear diamond and gold, they wear the finest there is, and I'm proud to be a descendant of the people. And that's the reason why I wear this here. And the changes in gold is symbolic of my struggle, because my ancestors, we was brought over here, we was shackled by our wrists and our necks and ankles. But now I turn those shackles into gold, and that offends people. People ask me, say, do that gold get heavy? Nobody asks my ancestors, did the old changes get heavy on their neck? But it bothers them because they know the gold is valuable. But that's the reason why I wear the gold.
You know what I mean? So when you're dealing with that immortal body and spirit, you're going to have the power now to ask the permission for you to see through that supreme being as well, you know, and go in its mind to and broaden, you know what I'm saying, your own consciousness.